Lily Anderson clutched her worn stuffed penguin against her chest as the judge's words echoed through the hushed courtroom. At 8 years old, she was too young to fully understand the legal terminology, but she recognized the collective gasp that rippled through the gallery. The court finds the deceased, Major Thomas Anderson, guilty of treason against the United States of America. Had he lived, the sentence would have been death. Lily's small body trembled as she rose to her feet. "My daddy is not a traitor," she screamed, tears streaming down her freckled cheeks. "He died a hero. He protected us." The judge's gavel crashed down. At Lily's feet, Rex, her father's German shepherd, let out a low growl, his dark eyes fixed on the military officers in the front row. One man, Colonel James Harrison, stared back at the child with an expression caught between pity and something darker. "Court adjourned," the judge announced. But Lily couldn't hear him over the roaring in her ears as her father's name, once spoken with respect throughout Fort Courage, was forever marked with disgrace. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments along with the city you're watching from now. Let's continue with the story. Fort Courage. Virginia had always prided itself on loyalty. The small military town, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, housed 3 generations of service members and their families. American flags adorned nearly every porch, and patriotic bunting hung year-round from the lampposts on Main Street. Until 2 years ago, the Anderson family had embodied everything the town valued: duty, honor, sacrifice. Major Thomas Anderson had been Fort Courage's golden son. A West Point graduate with distinguished service in Afghanistan and Iraq. He'd earned the Silver Star for leading his men through an ambush that should have claimed all their lives. His office walls, now stripped bare by investigators, had once displayed photographs of Thomas with 3 different presidents. His handsome face, with the characteristic Anderson cleft chin that 8-year-old Lily had inherited, had appeared on recruitment posters. Now, the Anderson home at the end of Liberty Lane sat isolated, neighbors who once brought casseroles after Thomas's death crossing to the opposite sidewalk to avoid conversation with his family. The gold star in the window, traditionally signifying a family's ultimate sacrifice, had been pelted with eggs the previous night. Lily lived with her grandmother Eleanor, Nana to her, since her mother had succumbed to cancer when Lily was just 4. Nana had aged a decade in the past month as the investigation intensified, her once perfect posture now curved under invisible weight, her silver hair hastily pinned rather than neatly styled. The only constant in Lily's crumbling world was Rex, her father's military working dog. The German shepherd had been released from service after Thomas's death and officially adopted by the family. Unlike the humans around her, Rex's loyalty never wavered. His intelligent eyes followed Lily everywhere, his powerful body positioned between her and any perceived threat. Colonel James Harrison visited regularly, his commanding presence filling their modest home. As Thomas's superior officer and Lily's godfather, he expressed outrage at the accusations while promising to get to the bottom of this terrible mistake. He brought Lily gifts and ruffled her blonde hair with affection, though Rex never relaxed in his presence, maintaining a vigilant stance until Harrison departed. Lieutenant William Cooper and Captain Sarah Mitchell from the Judge Advocate General's Corps occasionally stopped by, offering legal advice in hushed tones. They alone seemed unconvinced of Thomas's guilt, though neither could explain the damning evidence that had sealed his posthumous fate. The drive home from the courthouse stretched into an eternity. Nana's ancient Buick crawled through town as faces turned away from their passing. Lily sat in the back seat, one arm wrapped around Rex's thick neck, her face buried in his fur to hide her tears. The German shepherd remained perfectly still, offering silent comfort as he had since the day 2 uniformed officers had appeared at their door with news of her father's death. "Hold your head high, Lily girl," Nana said, her voice wavering despite her attempt at strength. "Your daddy raised you to face the world, no matter how unfair it gets." Lily lifted her face, red-rimmed eyes staring at the back of her grandmother's head. "But they're lying about him, Nana. Daddy would never—" Her voice cracked. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Nana's knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. As they turned onto Liberty Lane, Lily spotted Mrs. Williamson, who had taught her Sunday school since she was a toddler, hurriedly gathering her mail and rushing inside without acknowledgement. Mr. Peterson, who had served with her grandfather decades ago, was watering his immaculate lawn, but deliberately kept his back turned. The garage door hummed open, and Nana pulled in, shielding them from neighborhood eyes. Inside the house, the silence felt oppressive. Family photos still lined the hallway. Thomas in his dress uniform, Thomas holding baby Lily, Thomas and his squad with Rex sitting proudly at attention. The military had requested these be turned over as evidence, but Nana had fiercely refused. "I'll make us some lunch," Nana announced, moving toward the kitchen with mechanical determination. The doorbell rang before she reached the refrigerator. Rex's ears perked up, a low rumble starting in his chest. "It's all right," Nana said, though her expression suggested otherwise. She opened the door to reveal Colonel Harrison, still in his dress uniform from court. "Eleanor," he said solemnly, removing his cap. "Lily, may I come in?" Rex positioned himself between Lily and the visitor, his posture rigid but obedient. The colonel's eyes flickered to the dog with momentary annoyance before his face softened into a practiced smile. "Quite a difficult day," he said, settling into Thomas's old armchair without invitation. "I wanted to check on you both personally." "That's very kind, James," Nana replied, her southern manners overriding her obvious discomfort. "The verdict was—" He paused. "Unfortunate, but perhaps not unexpected given the evidence. I fought for Thomas. You must believe that. But the intelligence reports were conclusive." Lily stood in the doorway, clutching her penguin. "My daddy wasn't a traitor," she said firmly. Harrison's expression tightened momentarily before settling back into sympathy. Sometimes, Lilypad, he used the nickname her father had given her, causing her to flinch. "Even good men make terrible mistakes." "Thomas never made mistakes on mission," Nana countered quietly. "Not once in 20 years of service." "Eleanor." Harrison leaned forward, voice dropping. "The investigators will be returning tomorrow. For your own good, for Lily's future, you should consider cooperating fully, starting with getting rid of Thomas's personal effects." "Those belong to Lily," Nana said sharply. "Some might contain classified material." Harrison stood, towering over Eleanor. "Material that could further damage your family's position." Rex moved forward, placing himself beside Nana, his stance alert but not aggressive. Harrison eyed the dog warily. "That animal should have been reassigned. Military assets aren't family pets." Rex was released to us officially, Nana replied. The paperwork is complete. Harrison nodded curtly. Very well. Think about what I said. Eleanor, clear out his office. For everyone's sake. He paused at the door. Oh, and the memorial plaque is being removed from the base entrance tomorrow morning. I thought you should hear it from me first. After he left, Lily crept into her father's office, a room largely untouched since his death. His coffee mug still sat on the desk, a half-finished crossword puzzle folded beside it. Rex followed, nails clicking on the hardwood floor. They're trying to erase Daddy, Lily whispered to the dog, running her small fingers over her father's nameplate. Rex whined softly, pressing against her leg. That night, Lily lay in bed reading the letters her father had written during his deployments. Always do what's right, lily pad, even when it's hard, he had written in his bold, slanting script. Especially when it's hard. Outside her window, a car drove slowly past their house for the third time that evening. Rex, who had taken to sleeping at the foot of her bed, raised his head and growled softly. Downstairs, Lily could hear Nana on the phone, her voice tight with barely controlled emotion. Sleep came fitfully, and sometime past midnight, Lily woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway, too heavy to be her grandmother's. Rex was already alert, standing by her bedroom door. The footsteps paused outside her father's office, and then continued downstairs. When morning came, nothing seemed disturbed, but Lily couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been searching for something her father had hidden. The day after the verdict stretched endlessly for Lily. Nana had called the school claiming illness, unable to face sending her granddaughter into the battlefield of whispers and stares that awaited. They spent the morning in strained silence, Nana aggressively cleaning already spotless surfaces while Lily sat cross-legged on the living room floor with her father's photo album. Rex had been acting strangely since dawn. The normally composed shepherd paced between the front door and Thomas's office, pausing occasionally to stare at Lily with an intensity that seemed almost human. By late afternoon, his behavior had grown more erratic, whining at the office door, then returning to nudge Lily's arm with his nose. "What's wrong, boy?" Lily whispered, rubbing his ears. Rex had never been a nervous dog. Thomas had often bragged that his partner had nerves of steel under fire. Yet something clearly had him unsettled. At dinner, Nana pushed food around her plate while fielding another call from the military investigators who wanted to schedule yet another walkthrough of the house. Lily watched her grandmother's shoulders slump further with each clipped response. "They're coming tomorrow at 9, Nana announced after hanging up. "They want access to your daddy's office computer again." "But they already took his computer," Lily said, confusion crossing her face. "They're sending someone to check the connections, the internet." Nana waved her hand vaguely. "Technical things I don't understand." Rex, who had been lying in the kitchen doorway, suddenly stood at attention, ears forward. A low growl rumbled in his chest as headlights swept across the front windows. Both Lily and Nana tensed, but the car continued past their driveway. After dinner, as Nana washed dishes with mechanical precision, Rex's strange behavior escalated. He trotted to Lily's side, gently took her sleeve between his teeth, and tugged with uncharacteristic insistence. "Rex, stop," Lily scolded half-heartedly. But the dog continued pulling her toward the hallway. Curiosity overcame irritation, and she allowed herself to be led to her father's office door. "I'm not supposed to go in there without Nana," she whispered. But Rex whined urgently, scratching at the bottom of the door. A memory surfaced. Her father, kneeling beside Rex on their back lawn, summer sunshine glinting off the dog's coat. "Pay attention. Lily pad," Thomas had said. "Rex doesn't do anything without a reason. He's smarter than most people I know." That day, he demonstrated how Rex had been trained to alert to hidden explosives in Afghanistan, how the shepherd could detect what human senses missed. With a quick glance toward the kitchen, Lily turned the doorknob and slipped inside. The room smelled faintly of her father's aftershave, a scent that made her heart contract painfully. Military commendations lined one wall, family photos covered another. His desk remained as he'd left it, minus the computer and several files the investigators had removed. Rex moved with purpose now, circling the room once before stopping at a specific floorboard near the window. He pawed at it, then looked up at Lily expectantly. "What is it, boy?" she whispered, kneeling beside him. The floorboard looked identical to the others, dark oak, worn smooth by years of footsteps. Rex scratched again, more insistently. Lily ran her fingers along the edge of the board, feeling a slight unevenness. She pressed experimentally, and to her surprise, one end lifted slightly. Heart pounding, she worked her small fingers into the gap and pulled. The board came free, revealing a shallow cavity beneath. Inside lay a small black metal case no bigger than her hand. With trembling fingers, Lily lifted it out, surprised by its weight. A simple combination lock secured the lid, 3 digits needed. She tried her birthday, 042, but the lock remained closed. Her mother's birthday yielded the same result. Rex whined softly, nudging her arm again. "I don't know the combination," Lily whispered, frustration building. She turned the case over, running her fingers along the smooth surface until she felt tiny scratches on the bottom. Tilting it toward the desk lamp, she made out 3 numbers etched almost invisibly, 729. The lock clicked open. Inside the case, nestled in protective foam, was a USB drive and a folded note in her father's handwriting. The note contained just 4 words, "Rex knows the way." Lily stared at the dog, whose intelligent eyes never left her face. "Dad trained you for this, didn't he?" she whispered. Rex's tail thumped once against the floor, the closest thing to confirmation a dog could give. Before she could examine the USB further, the sound of tires on gravel cut through the silence. Headlights illuminated the office windows momentarily, and Rex's posture changed instantly. Alert, defensive. Lily hastily replaced the floorboard, slipping the USB and note into her pocket. She had barely closed the office door behind her when the doorbell rang. Nana emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and froze when she saw Lily in the hallway. "I was just—" Lily began, but Nana shook her head sharply as the doorbell rang again, more insistently. "Go upstairs," Nana whispered. "Now." From the top of the stairs, Lily watched her grandmother open the door to reveal Colonel Harrison, still in uniform despite the late hour. 2 military police officers stood at attention behind him. Eleanor, Harrison's voice carried clearly up the stairwell. I apologize for the late visit, but we've received intelligence suggesting Thomas may have hidden classified documents in the house. My men need to conduct a search. You have no authority, Nana began, but Harrison cut her off. I have authorization from the Joint Chiefs. Eleanor, please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Lily retreated to her room, Rex following silently. She closed the door and pressed her ear against it, listening to heavy footsteps moving methodically through the house below. The USB drive seemed to burn in her pocket. Whatever was on it. Her father had gone to great lengths to hide it, and now Colonel Harrison was searching for it with suspicious urgency. From downstairs came the sound of Nana's protests as the men entered Thomas's office. Rex sat beside Lily, his body tense but controlled, watching the door with unwavering attention. Through her fear, one thought crystallized with absolute clarity: her father had left her a message from beyond the grave, and Rex was the key to understanding it. The search lasted nearly 3 hours. From her bedroom, Lily listened to drawers being emptied, furniture moved, and her grandmother's increasingly distressed objections. Rex remained by her side, his body tense but silent, displaying the discipline that had made him valuable in combat zones. Only when Colonel Harrison's voice rose sharply did the shepherd's lips curl back slightly, revealing the tips of his teeth. "They're looking for what we found," Lily whispered to Rex, her hand buried in his thick fur. The USB drive remained hidden in her sock drawer, hastily buried beneath winter tights and Christmas socks, while the men had stomped up the stairs to begin their search of the second floor. When Harrison knocked on her bedroom door, Lily had feigned sleepiness, clutching her stuffed penguin and answering his questions with deliberately childish responses. Rex had played his part perfectly, behaving like an ordinary pet rather than the highly trained military asset he was. Harrison's eyes had lingered on the dog with suspicious intensity, but he'd found nothing in Lily's carefully innocent room to hold his attention. "We're leaving now, Lily Pad," Harrison said at her doorway, using her father's nickname for her yet again. "Sorry for disturbing your sleep. We just want to make sure your daddy didn't leave anything dangerous behind." "My daddy would never hurt us," Lily replied, her blue eyes wide and unblinking. Something flickered across Harrison's face. Irritation, perhaps, or concern. "Of course not. Get some rest now." Only after hearing the front door close and the military vehicles pull away did Lily exhale fully. She crept downstairs to find Nana in the living room, surveying the disarray with tears streaming down her lined face. "They had no right," Nana whispered, her hands trembling. "No right at all." "What were they looking for, Nana?" Lily asked, though she already suspected the answer. "They wouldn't say exactly. Something about classified documents your father might have removed from the base." Nana sank onto the sofa. "As if Thomas would ever—" Her voice trailed off as Rex padded silently into the room, his attention fixed on the window where a car had slowed while passing their house. "We need help," Lily said suddenly, decision crystallizing. "I need to talk to Captain Mitchell." "Sarah, why?" Nana looked up, confusion temporarily replacing grief on her face. Lily hesitated, torn between protecting her grandmother and sharing her discovery. "I just trust her, and she was Daddy's friend." Dawn found Lily bleary-eyed but determined. She'd slept little, her mind racing with possibilities about the USB's contents. Nana had insisted she attend school. "We don't hide from gossip in this family," so she dressed in her neatest clothes, a silent defiance against what awaited her. The school bus ride was an exercise in endurance. Children who had once competed for seats beside her now clustered at the front, leaving Lily isolated in the back row. She could hear her name in their whispers, occasionally catching phrases like traitor's kid and spy family. Mrs. Abernathy, her third-grade teacher, greeted her with forced brightness that didn't reach her eyes. "Class, let's all focus on our multiplication tables this morning," she announced when the whispers grew too obvious. But the damage was done by lunchtime. Lily sat alone at an empty table, picking at her sandwich while fighting back tears. "Is this seat taken?" a gentle voice asked. Lily looked up to find Emma Cooper, Lieutenant Cooper's daughter, standing beside her with a lunch tray. "You can sit," Lily replied cautiously. Emma slid onto the bench. "My dad says your dad was a hero," she said without preamble. "He says adults sometimes get things wrong." A lump formed in Lily's throat. "Thanks. Daddy also said if you ever need help, you should call him. Not on our house phone, though on his special phone." Emma slipped a folded paper across the table. "That's the number." Before Lily could respond, a shadow fell across their table. Principal Whitman stood there, his expression stern. "Emma, your mother's here to pick you up for a dentist appointment." Emma gathered her things, but squeezed Lily's hand before leaving. "Remember what I said." The rest of the school day passed in a blur. When the final bell rang, Lily hurried outside, scanning the pickup area for Nana's Buick. Instead, she spotted Captain Sarah Mitchell leaning against a navy blue sedan, her JAG Corps uniform replaced by civilian clothes. "Your grandmother called," Captain Mitchell explained as Lily approached. "Asked if I could pick you up today. She's not feeling well." Alarm flashed through Lily. "Is she okay?" "Just tired, honey. The stress." Captain Mitchell opened the passenger door. "Hop in." Rex was waiting at home, unusually agitated. He circled Nana, who lay on the sofa with a cold compress on her forehead. Then rushed to Lily, whining softly. "I'm fine," Nana insisted when she saw Lily's worried face. "Just a headache. Sarah, thank you for bringing her home." Captain Mitchell nodded, her intelligent eyes taking in the disarray still evident from last night's search. "Harrison's work?" she asked quietly. "He had authorization." Nana replied bitterly. "That doesn't make it right." Captain Mitchell knelt beside Lily. "How are you holding up, kiddo?" Lily glanced at Nana, then back at the captain. Making a decision, she whispered, "I need to show you something, but it's secret." Captain Mitchell's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. "Why don't I make some tea for your grandmother, and then we can talk?" Once Nana was settled with tea and a promise to rest, Captain Mitchell followed Lily to the backyard. Rex trotted alongside them, alert but calmer in the captain's presence than he had been with Harrison. "I found something," Lily said, her voice barely above a whisper as she withdrew the USB drive from her pocket. "In Daddy's office. Rex showed me where to look." Captain Mitchell's professional composure slipped momentarily, surprise evident on her face. "When?" "Last night." Before Colonel Harrison came, the captain's eyes narrowed. Harrison searched your house the same night you found this. That's quite a coincidence. Rex knew where to look. He was trying to show me for days. I think... Lily stroked the shepherd's head. Daddy left a note saying, "Rex knows the way." Captain Mitchell studied the USB, turning it carefully in her hands. Lily, this could be important. Do you trust me to look at what's on it? Lily nodded. Daddy trusted you. We shouldn't use your home computer, and I don't want to take this with me. It might not be safe. The captain thought for a moment. Is there a library nearby? 30 minutes later, they sat in the back corner of Fort Courage Public Library, as far from windows and security cameras as possible. Captain Mitchell plugged the USB into a public computer, her body positioned to shield the screen from view. It's encrypted, she murmured after several attempts to access the files. We need a password. Lily tried her birthday, her mother's birthday, and other significant dates, all unsuccessfully. Rex sat at her feet, watchful as library patrons moved through the stacks. Wait, Lily said suddenly. Try 729. That was the combination on the case where I found it. Captain Mitchell typed in the numbers. The screen remained locked. Maybe it's a word instead of numbers. Lily thought of her father's letters, his steady handwriting, his consistent closing. Stay brave, Lilypad. Try Lilypad, she suggested. The captain typed it in. Nothing happened. All caps Lilypad. Still nothing. Lily closed her eyes, trying to think like her father. What password would he choose? Something he knew she might eventually need to guess. Something meaningful to both of them. Penguin, she said suddenly, remembering the stuffed animal he'd given her before his last deployment. The password is Penguin. Captain Mitchell typed it in, and the screen transformed, revealing a folder of files with military designations. How did you know? It was the last present he gave me. He said penguins mate for life and always find their way home, no matter how far they travel. Lily blinked back tears. He promised he'd always find his way back to me, too. The files contained technical documents, financial records, and coded communications that meant little to Lily. Captain Mitchell scrolled through them with increasing tension evident in her posture. This is significant, she finally said, her voice carefully controlled. These are records of weapon sales to a group our country officially designates as enemies. And these financial transfers. She pointed to a spreadsheet. They're signed off by Harrison. Colonel Harrison was selling weapons to bad people, Lily asked, struggling to understand. It appears so. Your father must have discovered this. Captain Mitchell continued scanning the files. There's a recording here, too, but we can't play it in the library. A shadow fell across their table. Both looked up to find Lieutenant William Cooper standing there, expression grave. Sarah, he said quietly, we need to talk. Captain Mitchell closed the files and removed the USB. How did you find us? Emma told me she gave Lily my number. When I didn't hear from her, I got worried. His eyes moved to the USB in her hand. Is that what I think it is? Evidence? Captain Mitchell replied. Thomas left it for Lily to find. Lieutenant Cooper glanced around the library. We can't talk here. Harrison has people everywhere. We could go to my office on base, Captain Mitchell suggested. Cooper shook his head firmly. Too risky. Harrison practically lives at headquarters these days. He knelt to Lily's level. Does your grandmother have any friends she could visit for a while? Someone outside of Fort Courage? My aunt lives in Richmond, Lily offered. Nana could stay with her? Good. She should go tonight if possible. Cooper turned to Captain Mitchell. I have a secure laptop at my fishing cabin. We can review the files there. Captain Mitchell nodded. I'll take Lily home and help Eleanor pack. Can you meet us in 3 hours? And William, be careful. If Harrison suspects we've found something. I've been careful since Thomas first came to me with concerns about Harrison last year. Cooper's expression darkened. Harrison shut him down then. Transferred him to that final mission within days. As they drove back to the house, Lily processed this new information. Lieutenant Cooper knew Daddy was suspicious of Colonel Harrison. Captain Mitchell nodded grimly. Your father noticed financial irregularities last year. He reported them through proper channels, but his concerns were dismissed. He started gathering evidence on his own after that. Is that why he died? Because he found out Colonel Harrison was doing bad things? The captain's hands tightened on the steering wheel. It's starting to look that way. Lily. Convincing Nana to visit her sister in Richmond proved easier than expected. The military search had shaken her deeply, and when Captain Mitchell delicately suggested it might be safer for her to leave town while they explored some legal options, she agreed with surprising readiness. They're going to take everything he was, Nana said as she packed an overnight bag, her movements slow with exhaustion. His medals, his good name, his legacy for Lily. They've already taken so much. We're going to fight this, Eleanor, Captain Mitchell promised. Thomas left evidence. We just need time to review it properly. Lieutenant Cooper arrived as promised, helping load Nana's bags into her car. I'll follow you to the highway, he told her. Make sure you're not followed. Lily hugged her grandmother tightly. I love you, Nana. I love you too, sweet pea. Nana cupped Lily's face in her wrinkled hands. You're so like your father, brave and stubborn and true. He'd be proud of you today. After Nana and Lieutenant Cooper departed, Captain Mitchell secured the house while Lily packed a small backpack. Rex remained vigilant, periodically checking the windows and doors with military precision. We should go soon, Captain Mitchell said, checking her watch. William will meet us at the cabin after seeing your grandmother safely out of town. As they prepared to leave through the back door, headlights swept across the front of the house. Rex immediately tensed, a low growl building in his throat. Get down, Captain Mitchell hissed, pulling Lily away from the windows. 2 vehicles parked in front of the house. Through a gap in the curtains, Lily could see Colonel Harrison emerging from the first, accompanied by military police. From the second stepped several men in suits she didn't recognize. They're searching again, Lily whispered. No. Captain Mitchell replied grimly. This is different. More official. We need to leave now. They slipped out the back door as pounding began at the front, with Rex leading the way. They crossed through neighboring yards, keeping to shadows. Captain Mitchell's car was parked 3 blocks away, deliberately distant from the Anderson home. Where are we going? Lily asked as they drove away from Fort Courage, the military town's lights receding in the darkness. William's fishing cabin is about an hour from here. It's isolated, secure. Captain Mitchell checked the rearview mirror constantly. We'll meet him there and go through the files properly. What if they catch us? Lily's voice trembled slightly. They won't, the captain assured her, though her own tension was evident in her rigid posture. Rex will warn us if anyone approaches, and I've got a gun. The mention of the weapon made the danger suddenly more real to Lily. This wasn't just about clearing her father's name anymore. They were running from the same people who might have been responsible for his death. The cabin was tucked deep in the Virginia woods, accessible only by a narrow dirt road that wound through dense forest. A small generator provided electricity, and the rustic interior contained basic furniture, a wood stove, and most importantly, a locked cabinet that Lieutenant Cooper opened to reveal communications equipment and a rugged laptop. This isn't connected to any network, he explained as he set up the computer. No way to trace it or hack it. Captain Mitchell inserted the USB, and they huddled around the screen as the files opened with the password Lily had discovered. For the next hour, the adults examined documents while Lily sat with Rex by the wood stove, the shepherd's warm presence providing comfort as night deepened around the cabin. Occasionally, she caught fragments of their increasingly agitated conversation. This proves the weapons were diverted. Harrison's signature on every authorization. Thomas must have downloaded these records before. The recording is encrypted with another password. Finally, Lieutenant Cooper turned to Lily. Your father left an audio file, but it needs another password. Any ideas what it might be? Lily approached the computer, studying the prompt on the screen. Unlike before, this wasn't asking for a simple password, but displayed a question. What did we see at Gettysburg? A smile touched Lily's lips for the first time in days. It's from our last trip together. We saw a red fox crossing the battlefield at sunset. Daddy said it was good luck. Try Red Fox, Captain Mitchell suggested. Lieutenant Cooper typed it in, and the file unlocked, revealing an audio recording dated 2 days before Thomas Anderson's final mission. He clicked play, and Lily's heart constricted painfully as her father's voice filled the small cabin. This is Major Thomas Anderson, U.S. Army, 5th Special Forces Group. Date is March 15th, 2023. I'm recording this as insurance and evidence. For the past 6 months, I've been investigating unauthorized weapons transfers approved by Colonel James Harrison. The attached files document his diversion of military hardware to the Kazakhstan Liberation Front, a designated terrorist organization. Harrison has established offshore accounts, receiving payments for these weapons. I've included all account details and transaction records. When I attempted to report these findings through official channels, my concerns were dismissed, and I was scheduled for immediate deployment to Operation Desert Falcon. I believe this deployment is an attempt to silence me. If you're hearing this recording, my suspicions were likely correct. In that event, I've arranged additional evidence to be secured by my service dog, Rex, who has been trained to respond to specific prompts that only my daughter Lily would likely discover. To whoever finds this, protect my family. Harrison won't stop at silencing me. He'll ensure all evidence is destroyed, including anyone who might have knowledge of his activities. The recording continued with detailed descriptions of Harrison's activities, specific missions where weapons had been diverted, and names of other officers potentially involved in the conspiracy. By the time it ended, Lieutenant Cooper and Captain Mitchell were exchanging grim looks. "This is why Thomas died," Cooper said quietly. "Harrison arranged that mission specifically to eliminate him." "We need to get this to the Department of Defense Inspector General immediately," Captain Mitchell said. "Bypass the regular chain of command entirely." "Harrison will know we have this by now," Cooper replied. "The house search tonight wasn't random. Someone must have spotted us at the library or tracked our movements." As if confirming his words, Rex suddenly stood at attention, facing the cabin door. His ears were forward, body rigid with alertness. "Someone's coming," Lieutenant Cooper whispered, shutting down the laptop and securing the USB. "Get away from the windows." Rex's hackles rose as he stood perfectly still, his training overriding any instinct to bark or growl. Lieutenant Cooper moved with practiced efficiency, extinguishing the cabin's lights while Captain Mitchell secured the laptop and USB in a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. Lily pressed herself against the wall beside the wood stove, heart hammering in her chest as headlights swept across the cabin windows. "2 vehicles," Cooper whispered, peering through a narrow gap in the curtains. "Military-issue Humvee and a black SUV. How did they find us?" Captain Mitchell drew her service weapon, checking it with practiced hands. "Questions later. Right now, we need to move." Cooper grabbed a backpack from beside the door, stuffing it with essentials. "There's a hunting blind about half a mile into the woods. We can reach it using the creek bed to mask our trail." Captain Mitchell nodded, her face grim in the fading firelight. "Lily, you stay between us. Rex will lead the way. No matter what happens, you run when we tell you to run, understand?" Lily nodded, unable to form words around the fear closing her throat. This wasn't a nightmare anymore. It was a desperate flight from the same people who may have killed her father. Cooper eased open the back door, wincing as hinges creaked softly. Outside, the night was moonless, the forest a wall of impenetrable shadow beyond the cabin's small clearing. They slipped out single-file Rex first, then Cooper, Lily, and Mitchell, covering their rear. They had barely reached the tree line when the cabin door splintered inward, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness behind them. A voice Lily recognized immediately shouted commands, Colonel Harrison directing his men to search the premises. "Go!" Mitchell hissed, giving Lily a gentle push forward as they plunged deeper into the forest. The creek bed provided some cover, the rushing water masking their footsteps as they waded through ankle-deep current. Rex moved with silent efficiency, occasionally stopping to ensure they followed. Behind them, shouts and the harsh beams of tactical flashlights indicated their absence had been discovered. "They'll track us," Cooper murmured, helping Lily over a fallen tree. "We need to split up." "No," Mitchell responded immediately. "Lily stays with me. You take the evidence to General Westfield in Richmond. He's outside Harrison's influence and has direct lines to the Pentagon." Cooper hesitated, then nodded sharply. "The hunting blind is just ahead. You two hide there. I'll lead them away, then double back to my truck on the service road." "But they'll catch you," Lily whispered, panic rising. Cooper's face softened momentarily as he knelt to her level. "Your dad was my best friend. Lily, he saved my life in Kabul. I owe him this." He pressed something cold and metallic into her hand, a small key. "This opens a safe deposit box at First Virginia Bank in Richmond. Box 729. If something happens to me, make sure Captain Mitchell gets you there." Before Lily could respond, Rex froze, his body tensing and alert. A beam of light flickered through the trees, perhaps 200 yards behind them. "Go now," Cooper ordered, taking a different direction. "Rex, protect them." The German shepherd immediately positioned himself at Lily's side as Captain Mitchell led her toward a dense thicket. Hidden within the foliage stood a small elevated platform, the hunting blind Cooper had mentioned. Mitchell boosted Lily up, then followed, pulling the crude ladder after them. From their elevated position, they watched Cooper deliberately make noise, moving in the opposite direction. The pursuing flashlights immediately changed course, following him deeper into the forest. For several agonizing minutes, Lily and Captain Mitchell huddled in silence, Rex lying flat beside them, his eyes fixed on the forest below. A distant shout echoed through the trees, followed by what might have been a gunshot. Captain Mitchell's arm tightened around Lily's shoulders. "Was that—" Lily began, but Mitchell shook her head sharply. "Don't assume anything. William knows these woods better than they do." The night stretched endlessly as they remained hidden in the blind. Rex occasionally raised his head at distant sounds, but gave no alarm. Around 3 a.m., when the forest had been silent for over an hour, Captain Mitchell finally relaxed slightly. "I think they've moved on," she whispered. "We should wait until dawn, then make our way back to the road." "What about Lieutenant Cooper?" Lily asked, her voice small in the darkness. "If he got away, he'll contact us when it's safe." The captain's tone suggested she was less confident than her words implied. As gray dawn filtered through the trees, they carefully descended from the blind. The forest seemed eerily peaceful, birds beginning their morning songs as if the night's desperate chase had never happened. Rex took point again, leading them on a circuitous route that eventually brought them to a narrow dirt road. "We need transportation," Mitchell muttered, scanning the empty road. "And a phone. Mine was in the cabin." They walked for nearly an hour before reaching a small gas station on the outskirts of a town Lily didn't recognize. Captain Mitchell straightened her rumpled clothes as best she could before approaching the middle-aged attendant. "Car trouble," she explained with a disarming smile. "Any chance you could call us a taxi? Or is there a bus that comes through here?" The attendant, whose name tag identified him as Earl, eyed them suspiciously. "Lady, there ain't no taxis out here, and the county bus only runs on Tuesdays and Fridays." "I see." Mitchell's smile remained fixed. "Is there a rental place nearby? Nearest one's in Harrisburg, 20 miles east." Earl's gaze shifted to Lily and Rex waiting outside. "That your kid and dog?" "My niece. We were camping, but our friends got called away on an emergency. Left us stranded." Earl's suspicion didn't fade, but he shrugged. "I get off at noon. Could give you a ride to Harrisburg then if you're still stuck. That would be very kind. In the meantime, is there somewhere we could get breakfast? And I need to make a phone call." Earl directed them to a diner across the street, where Lily devoured pancakes while Captain Mitchell tried unsuccessfully to reach Lieutenant Cooper. Her expression grew increasingly grim with each unanswered call. "We need to assume William's been compromised," she finally said, keeping her voice low. Our priority now is getting to Richmond and accessing that safe deposit box. What about Nana? Is she safe? I hope so, but we can't risk contacting her directly right now. Mitchell rubbed her temples. Harrison knows we have evidence against him. He'll be watching everyone connected to your father. So what do? We get to Richmond. General Westfield is stationed at Fort Lee. If we can reach him with what we know, he can initiate an official investigation that even Harrison can't stop. The television mounted in the corner of the diner suddenly caught Captain Mitchell's attention. She stiffened, then quickly moved to increase the volume. A news anchor was mid-report. Military officials have declined to comment on the incident, but sources confirm that Lieutenant William Cooper was apprehended last night following a manhunt in Shenandoah County. Lieutenant Cooper, who serves with the Judge Advocate General's Corps, is reportedly being held on charges of espionage related to the recent posthumous conviction of Major Thomas Anderson. The report continued, but Mitchell had already seen enough. She quickly paid their bill and hurried Lily outside. "They've got William," she said grimly, "and they're spinning a story to connect him to your father's alleged treason." "But that's not true," Lily protested. "Truth isn't Harrison's priority right now. Survival is—" Mitchell checked her watch. "We need to move faster than I thought. Harrison will have people searching for us statewide by now." Earl proved unexpectedly helpful, offering to drive them to Harrisburg immediately rather than waiting until his shift ended. "My nephew's coming in early anyway," he explained as they climbed into his battered pickup truck. Rex jumped into the truck bed, positioning himself to watch their surroundings. As they drove, Captain Mitchell maintained a vigilant watch for any sign of pursuit. "Earl," she said casually, "hypothetically speaking, if someone wanted to get to Richmond without using main highways, what route would you recommend?" Earl gave her a sidelong glance. "Hypothetically, I'd say stick to county roads. Take 619 to Woodstock, then back roads through the valley. Longer, but less traveled." Good advice for our hypothetical traveler. In Harrisburg, Earl dropped them at a used car dealership rather than the rental agency. "Cash deals, no questions," he explained with a wink. "Friend of mine owns it. Tell Dexter that Earl sent you." An hour later, they were driving south in a 15-year-old Chevrolet with slightly questionable registration papers, but a full tank of gas. Rex lay across the back seat, occasionally lifting his head to survey their surroundings through the windows. "We'll reach Richmond by nightfall if we're lucky," Mitchell said, carefully navigating the rural byways. "The bank will be closed by then, but we can access the safe deposit box first thing tomorrow." "What if Harrison's men are watching the bank?" Lily asked, the reality of their situation settling heavily on her young shoulders. "That's a risk we'll have to take, but Harrison can't watch every bank in Richmond." Mitchell reached over to squeeze Lily's hand. "Your father trusted us to finish what he started. We won't let him down." They stopped only once, at a small roadside market to purchase sandwiches and water. As Mitchell paid, Lily noticed a rack of newspapers by the register. The headline made her blood run cold. "Military corruption investigation expands, JAG officer detained, others sought for questioning." Below the headline was a grainy photo of Captain Mitchell in her uniform. "Captain," Lily whispered urgently when Mitchell returned. She pointed to the newspaper. Mitchell's face remained impressively calm as she purchased the paper and hurried Lily back to the car. Only when they were moving again did she allow her composure to crack. "This complicates things," she said, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Harrison's moving faster than I anticipated. He's controlling the narrative, painting us as conspirators. What does that mean for us?" "It means we're now officially fugitives, Lily. Every police officer and military policeman in Virginia will be looking for us." Mitchell took a deep breath. "We need to change our plans. We can't risk the bank now, it'll be watched. But Lieutenant Cooper's key is still our best evidence. Yes. But we need to be smarter about how we use it." Mitchell turned onto an even smaller road. This one barely more than a dirt track through dense woodland. "First, we need a secure location to regroup." The secure location proved to be a small hunting cabin much like Cooper's, though in considerably worse repair, located deep in the Jefferson National Forest. It belonged to Captain Mitchell's uncle, who used it perhaps twice a year during deer season. No electricity, no running water, but no neighbors for 5 miles in any direction either, Mitchell explained as she unlocked the weathered door. "And more importantly, Harrison doesn't know about this place." They settled in as darkness fell, Mitchell lighting kerosene lamps that cast flickering shadows across the cabin's Spartan interior. Rex performed a thorough inspection of the perimeter before settling on the worn rug beside Lily's chair. "What happens now?" Lily asked, the events of the past 24 hours catching up with her. Exhaustion pulled at her limbs, but her mind raced with worry for Lieutenant Cooper, for Nana, for their increasingly desperate situation. Now, we reach out to the one person who might be able to help us. Mitchell produced a satellite phone from beneath a loose floorboard. "My uncle keeps this here for emergencies. It can't be easily traced." "Who are you calling?" "General Marcus Westfield. He commands Fort Lee and outranks Harrison by 2 stars. Mitchell began dialing. "He also served with your grandfather in Vietnam. If anyone will listen to us, it's him." The call connected, and Mitchell spoke in clipped, professional tones, identifying herself and briefly outlining their situation. She listened for several moments, her expression growing increasingly grave before finally disconnecting. "General Westfield is out of the country on a NATO assignment," she explained, her voice tight with frustration. "His aide says he's unreachable for at least 48 hours, so we're on our own." Lily's voice trembled slightly. "Not entirely." The aide seemed genuinely concerned. "He's going to try to get a secure message to the general." Mitchell ran a hand through her disheveled hair. "But we can't wait here doing nothing. Harrison is consolidating his position with every passing hour. What about Colonel Peterson?" "Dad always said he was the most honest officer he knew." "Anthony Peterson." Mitchell considered this. "He's stationed at Quantico now, heading officer training. Harrison would have trouble reaching him there without raising questions." She nodded slowly. "It's worth a try. Peterson and your father served together in Afghanistan." As Mitchell made another call, Lily moved to sit beside Rex, drawing comfort from the shepherd's solid presence. The dog rested his head on her lap, his dark eyes watching her with what seemed like understanding. "Rex," she whispered, stroking his ears. "I'm scared. What if we can't prove Daddy was innocent? What if Harrison wins?" The German shepherd whined softly, pushing his muzzle against her hand. Despite everything, Lily found herself smiling. "You're right. Daddy wouldn't give up, so we can't either." Captain Mitchell returned, her expression slightly lighter. "Colonel Peterson wants to meet us tomorrow morning at a diner just outside Quantico. Is that safe?" "Safer than sitting here waiting for Harrison to find us." Mitchell began gathering their meager supplies. "We'll leave before dawn. Approach from the west to avoid main checkpoints." "What about the safe deposit box? Lieutenant Cooper said it was important." "It is. But we need military authority behind us before we can access it safely." Mitchell knelt before Lily, her expression serious. "Harrison has resources we can't match. Lily, he's a full colonel with 25 years of connections and an entire military base that still believes he's a patriot. We need to be smart, build our alliance carefully." As if to punctuate her words, Rex suddenly stood, his attention fixed on the cabin door. A low growl built in his chest as his hackles raised. Mitchell immediately extinguished the lamp, plunging them into darkness. "Someone's coming," she whispered, drawing her service weapon. "Lily, back corner behind the woodpile, now." Lily scrambled to obey as Captain Mitchell positioned herself beside the door. "Weapon ready." Rex remained centered in the room, his posture rigid with alertness as footsteps approached the cabin. A sharp knock broke the silence, followed by a familiar voice that made Lily's blood run cold. "Captain Mitchell, I know you're in there. It's Colonel Harrison. We need to talk." Captain Mitchell signaled for Lily to stay hidden as she pressed herself against the wall beside the door. Rex maintained his defensive stance, a silent guardian in the darkness, his eyes fixed on the entrance. Outside, Harrison knocked again, more insistently. "Sarah, please, I'm alone." His voice carried an unusual note of desperation. "If I wanted to arrest you, I'd have brought MPs. This isn't what you think." Mitchell remained silent, her weapon steady in her hands. Lily could barely breathe from her hiding place behind the woodpile, fear a living thing inside her chest. "I know Thomas left evidence," Harrison continued. "I know what it looks like. But there's more to this situation than you understand." A pause. "William Cooper is being held at Fort Belvoir. They're going to transfer him to Leavenworth tomorrow on espionage charges." At the mention of Lieutenant Cooper, Mitchell's jaw tightened visibly, even in the dim light. Still, she made no response. Harrison sighed audibly through the door. "The safe deposit box in Richmond. It's already been emptied. We had a federal warrant this morning. Whatever you're hoping to find there is gone." Lily felt a cold wave of despair wash over her. Their evidence, their hope of clearing her father's name, gone. She pressed her fist against her mouth to stifle a sob. "You have Lily Anderson with you," Harrison stated rather than asked. "An 8-year-old girl who's already lost her parents. Do you really want to drag her deeper into this? Her grandmother is worried sick under medical observation at Fort Courage Hospital after suffering chest pains when she learned her granddaughter was missing." At this, Lily nearly cried out. Nana was sick. Because of her, Captain Mitchell must have sensed her distress. She shook her head sharply, warning Lily to remain silent. "I'm going to leave a secure phone on the porch," Harrison said after the continued silence. "When you're ready to talk to negotiate a resolution that protects everyone, including Lily, use it to contact me directly." His footsteps receded, followed by the sound of a car door opening and closing. An engine started, and headlights briefly illuminated the cabin windows before fading into the distance. For 5 full minutes, Mitchell didn't move. When she finally lowered her weapon, her face was drawn with tension. "Was he telling the truth?" Lily whispered, emerging shakily from her hiding place. "About Nana? About the safe deposit box?" "I don't know," Mitchell admitted, holstering her weapon. "Harrison is manipulative. He could be lying about everything, or just enough to throw us off balance. But what if Nana really is sick? We have to help her." Mitchell knelt before the girl, placing steady hands on her shoulders. "Lily, listen to me. If your grandmother is in the hospital, she's getting medical care. The best thing we can do for her, for everyone, is finish what your father started. We need to expose Harrison's crimes." "But he said the evidence is gone. He said the safe deposit box was emptied. That doesn't mean all our evidence is gone." Mitchell's eyes showed a calculating intelligence. "Your father was too smart to put all his evidence in one place. Think about it. He trained Rex to lead you to that USB drive. What else might he have prepared?" Lily frowned in concentration, trying to think like her father. "The key Lieutenant Cooper gave me, the numbers were 729. That's the same as the combination on the case where I found the USB. "A pattern?" Mitchell nodded thoughtfully. "Numbers that would be significant to you." "July 29th is my birthday," Lily said slowly. "Daddy always made it special. Even when he was deployed, he'd send presents months in advance, with notes saying when I could open them." "So he used your birthday as a code," Mitchell reasoned. "Where else might he have hidden something using that pattern?" Lily closed her eyes, searching her memories. "Our house, the security code is 0729. And—" her eyes flew open. "Daddy's office at home. The painting above his desk has my birthday hidden in it. He pointed it out once. The lighthouse in the picture has the numbers 729 worked into the stones." Mitchell's expression brightened. "We need to check behind that painting. But Harrison will have the house under surveillance by now." Rex, who had been vigilantly watching the door, suddenly padded to the window, his attention fixed on the forest outside. Mitchell immediately tensed, hand moving to her weapon again. "What is it, boy?" she whispered. Rex's tail wagged once. Not a warning, but recognition. Mitchell cautiously approached the window, peering into the darkness. A moment later, relief flooded her features. "It's Colonel Peterson," she breathed, moving to open the door. The man who entered was older than Lily expected, perhaps in his 60s, with silver hair and the ramrod straight posture of a career military officer. His expression was grave as he surveyed the cabin. "Captain Mitchell," he acknowledged with a nod. "When I couldn't reach you at our arranged meeting point, I feared the worst." "Colonel," Mitchell responded. "How did you find us?" "Harrison isn't the only one with resources," Peterson replied cryptically. "I've been monitoring the situation since Lieutenant Cooper was arrested. The charges against him and the posthumous conviction of Thomas Anderson stink to high heaven." His gaze fell on Lily, and his stern expression softened. "You must be Thomas's daughter. You have his eyes." Lily managed a small nod, instinctively moving closer to Rex, who examined the newcomer with cautious interest. "The situation has deteriorated," Peterson continued, turning back to Mitchell. "Harrison's narrative is gaining traction. He's convinced the Joint Chiefs that Thomas was part of a spy ring, with you and Cooper as accomplices." He shook his head in disgust. "He's leveraging Thomas's death to cover his own crimes." "We have evidence," Mitchell began, but Peterson held up a hand. "Whatever you have, it's not enough. Not yet. Harrison has initiated a full military manhunt for both of you. Every exit from Virginia is being monitored. And," he hesitated, glancing at Lily. "And what?" Mitchell pressed. "And Eleanor Anderson suffered a mild heart attack last night. She's stable. But Harrison is using her condition to paint you as kidnappers who've endangered a child and abandoned a sick elderly woman." Lily's knees buckled. Rex immediately pressed against her, providing support as she struggled to process this news. "Nana had a heart attack because of me," she whispered. "No," Peterson said firmly. "Because of Harrison's actions. Never forget who the real villain is in this situation." "We need to get back to Fort Courage," Lily insisted, looking desperately between the adults. "I need to see Nana. And there's evidence at our house behind the painting in Daddy's office." Peterson and Mitchell exchanged grim looks. "Returning to Fort Courage would be walking into a trap," Mitchell said gently. "Unless," Peterson mused. "That's exactly what Harrison wouldn't expect." His weathered face hardened with resolve. "I think it's time we change tactics. Stop running and take the fight directly to Harrison." As they discussed strategy, Lily sat with Rex. The shepherd's steady presence the only thing keeping her from complete despair. Her father was gone, her grandmother ill, and her own future hanging in the balance of a dangerous game played by powerful adults. Yet somewhere in the back of her mind, her father's voice echoed, "Always do what's right, lily pad, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." She stroked Rex's fur, drawing strength from his unwavering loyalty. "We'll find the truth, boy," she whispered. "For Daddy, for Nana, for all of us." The return to Fort Courage came under cover of darkness. Colonel Peterson's plan was audacious, but carefully structured. Utilizing his authority and reputation to create a small window of opportunity, they traveled in Peterson's personal vehicle, a nondescript sedan with military base access stickers, with Lily hidden beneath a blanket in the back seat, while Rex rode in the front, posing as Peterson's own dog. "Harrison's arrogance works in our favor," Peterson explained as they approached the town limits. "He expects you to run as far as possible, not to double back into his territory." Captain Mitchell, disguised in civilian clothes with her hair tucked under a baseball cap, nodded grimly. "High risk, high reward." "Precisely. We have perhaps 3 hours before my presence here raises questions. My story about visiting a former colleague in the hospital will hold temporarily." Fort Courage appeared unchanged in the pre-dawn light. American flags hanging limply in the still air, sprinklers ticking methodically across manicured lawns. Yet Lily sensed the difference military police vehicles patrolled more frequently, and even at this early hour, lights burned in windows that would normally be dark. The hospital first, Peterson decided, making a deliberate turn toward Fort Courage Memorial. "Sarah, you'll need to stay in the car. If anyone recognizes you—" "I understand," Mitchell replied, tension evident in her voice. "But how will you explain Lily's presence?" "I won't need to. She'll use the service entrance while I create a distraction at the front desk." Peterson glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror. "Can you find your grandmother's room on your own, young lady?" Lily nodded, determination replacing fear. "I can do it." "Good girl. Remember 15 minutes maximum. We can't risk longer." The hospital parking lot was nearly empty at 5:30 a.m. Peterson parked near the service entrance, handing Lily a small two-way radio. "Channel 3 if there's trouble, but maintain radio silence otherwise." Mitchell squeezed Lily's hand. "Be careful. Trust Rex." With Rex at her side, Lily slipped through the service entrance using the key code Peterson had somehow obtained. The hospital corridors were dimly lit and largely deserted, with only occasional night staff making rounds. Rex moved silently beside her, his body language alert but not alarmed, following Peterson's instructions. Lily located the cardiac care unit on the second floor. Her heart pounded as she peered through the small windows in each door, searching for her grandmother among the sleeping patients. In the third room, she found Nana. The sight nearly broke her composure. Eleanor Anderson looked suddenly small and frail against the white hospital sheets, an oxygen tube beneath her nose and monitoring equipment surrounding her bed. Lily eased the door open, Rex following like a shadow. "Nana," she whispered, approaching the bed. Eleanor's eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to shock and then joy. "Lily, oh my God, Lily!" She tried to sit up, setting off a rapid beeping from one of the monitors. "Shh! Nana, please," Lily begged, taking her grandmother's hand. "I can't stay long. I just needed to see you, to know you're okay." Tears filled Eleanor's eyes as she clutched Lily's hand. "They said you were missing, that Captain Mitchell had taken you. They've been asking such terrible questions." "Captain Mitchell is helping me. Nana, we found evidence that Daddy wasn't a traitor. It was Colonel Harrison all along." Eleanor's expression hardened. "I never trusted that man. Not really. Your father started acting differently around him last year." She squeezed Lily's hand. "Where have you been? Are you safe?" "I can't tell you everything, but we're trying to clear Daddy's name." Lily glanced anxiously at the door. "Nana, there's something hidden in Daddy's office behind the lighthouse painting. I need to get it." Understanding dawned in Eleanor's eyes. "The spare key to the house is still in the ceramic frog by the back door." She hesitated. "Lily, there are men watching our house. Military police. They come by every few hours." Rex suddenly tensed, his attention fixed on the door. A moment later, Lily heard footsteps approaching in the hallway. "I have to go," she whispered, kissing her grandmother's cheek. "Please, get better. I love you." "I love you too, sweet pea," Eleanor replied, tears streaming down her lined face. "Be careful. Your father would be so proud of you." Rex led Lily to a supply closet just as a nurse entered the cardiac unit. They waited, hearts pounding, until the coast was clear, then made their way back to the service entrance. Peterson was waiting in the car, expression tense. "Any problems?" he asked as Lily and Rex slipped into the back seat. "No, sir. Nana says there are military police watching our house." "Expected, but problematic," Peterson mused. "Sarah, your thoughts?" Captain Mitchell studied a rough map of Fort Courage. "The Anderson house backs up to Veterans Park. If we approach through the park, we might avoid the street surveillance." Peterson nodded. "Worth a try. But we'll need a distraction." The plan came together quickly. Peterson would create a diversion by visiting the military police station to report suspicious activity near the base perimeter opposite the Anderson home. Meanwhile, Mitchell and Lily would approach through the park, giving them perhaps 10 minutes to enter the house, retrieve whatever evidence might be hidden behind the painting, and escape before the patrols returned. Veterans Park was deserted at this early hour, morning mist still clinging to the memorial statues and playground equipment. Mitchell led the way, moving with military precision through the trees that separated the park from the residential area. Rex ranged ahead, returning periodically to confirm their path was clear. "The fence," Lily whispered, pointing to the wooden barrier that enclosed her backyard. "There's a loose board on the left side." The loose board proved to be a tight squeeze for Captain Mitchell, but they managed to slip through without creating noise. The Anderson house loomed before them, dark and silent in the growing dawn light. "Ceramic frog," Lily murmured, locating the garden ornament beside the back steps. She retrieved the spare key hidden beneath it, hands trembling slightly as she unlocked the door. The house felt different, violated. Evidence of Harrison's searches was everywhere, drawers partially open, books askew on shelves, furniture slightly out of place. Mitchell gestured for Lily to lead the way to Thomas's office, Rex padding silently between them. The lighthouse painting hung exactly as Lily remembered a peaceful coastal scene her father had purchased during their last family vacation before her mother's illness. Thomas had pointed out the cleverly hidden numbers in the lighthouse stonework 729 Lily's birthday. Mitchell carefully lifted the painting from the wall, revealing nothing but blank drywall behind it. Lily's heart sank. "There's nothing there," she whispered, disappointment crushing her momentary hope. "Wait." Mitchell examined the painting's frame more closely. "The backing feels unusual." She carefully probed the frame's edges until something clicked, and the backing panel loosened to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside lay a flash drive similar to the one Rex had led them to earlier, along with a small voice recorder and a sealed envelope with "For Lily" written in Thomas's distinctive handwriting. "Your father was thorough," Mitchell murmured, securing the items in her pocket. "We need to—" Rex suddenly growled a low, warning rumble that froze them both. Outside, car doors slammed. "Back door," Mitchell hissed. But Rex was already moving toward the kitchen, hackles raised. Through the window, they could see military police approaching the back entrance. "They're surrounding the house," Mitchell realized, drawing her weapon. Front and back. Lily felt panic rising. "What do we do?" Mitchell's mind worked rapidly. "The attic. Does it have access to the roof?" "Yes. Daddy installed a skylight last year." They moved swiftly upstairs, pulling down the attic ladder and climbing into the dusty space as voices called out below. "Military police. We know you're in there. Come out with your hands visible." The attic skylight offered their only escape route. Mitchell pushed it open, helping Lily onto the roof before following herself. Rex required more effort. The shepherd was heavy and clearly uncomfortable with the unusual exit, but Mitchell managed to lift him through the opening. "Now what?" Lily whispered, the steep pitch of the roof making her cling to the shingles in terror. "The Anderson house is surrounded, repeat. We have the house surrounded." The amplified voice from below eliminated any hope of climbing down unnoticed. Mitchell's face set in grim determination. "Change of plans. We surrender on our terms." "Surrender?" Lily couldn't believe what she was hearing. "But Harrison will—" "Harrison isn't here." Mitchell interrupted, pointing toward the street where Colonel Peterson had just arrived, engaging with the officer in charge. "But Colonel Peterson he'll ensure we're taken into proper custody, not Harrison's private detention." Below them, the military police had entered the house. It would be moments before they discovered the open attic access. "Lily, listen carefully." Mitchell spoke rapidly. "The evidence we just found, I need to hide it somewhere they won't search." She reached into her pocket, extracting the flash drive, voice recorder, and sealed envelope. "Rex's collar. It has a hidden compartment. Your father showed me once." With practiced fingers, Mitchell located the concealed pocket in the thick leather of Rex's collar, carefully inserting the flash drive and voice recorder. The envelope wouldn't fit, so she quickly removed the letter inside, folded it tightly, and added it to the hidden compartment before securing it. "They won't search Rex thoroughly," she explained. "Military working dogs have certain protocols. Even Harrison can't override those without raising suspicions." Footsteps pounded up the stairs below them. Their time had run out. "I'm going to create a distraction," Mitchell decided. "When I do, you call out to Colonel Peterson. Make sure he knows you're here, not just me." Before Lily could respond, Mitchell had moved to the far edge of the roof, deliberately making noise to draw attention. "Military police hands where I can see them." The shout came from below as spotlights swept across the roof. "I'm unarmed," Mitchell called back, raising her hand slowly. "I have Lily Anderson with me. She's unharmed." "Captain Mitchell." Colonel Peterson's authoritative voice cut through the confusion. "Is that you up there?" Lily seized her moment. "Colonel Peterson, we found it. We found what Daddy hid." The effect was immediate. Peterson immediately took command of the situation, ordering the military police to secure but not harm either Mitchell or Lily, explicitly countermanding any previous orders they might have received. As they were helped down from the roof, Lily kept Rex close beside her. The shepherd remained unnaturally calm amidst the chaos, as if understanding the critical importance of his hidden cargo. "Captain Mitchell, you're under arrest for desertion, kidnapping, and espionage," the MP lieutenant announced formally, though his expression showed confusion as Colonel Peterson continued to monitor the situation closely. "I understand," Mitchell replied calmly. "I request that Lily Anderson and her service animal be remanded to Colonel Peterson's custody immediately, as he is her father's designated guardian in such circumstances." The lieutenant hesitated, clearly caught between conflicting orders. "I'll need to verify that, ma'am." "Verify all you want," Peterson interjected smoothly. "In the meantime, I'm taking temporary custody of the minor and her dog. You can reach me at JAG headquarters when you've sorted out your paperwork." As Mitchell was led away in handcuffs, she caught Lily's eye one last time. Her expression conveyed a clear message: trust Rex. Keep the evidence safe. Peterson guided Lily toward his car, one hand protectively on her shoulder. "Are you all right?" he asked quietly. "Yes, sir," Lily replied, though her voice trembled. "But they arrested Captain Mitchell." "As we expected they might," Peterson reminded her gently. "But she's safer in official military custody than running as a fugitive. Harrison can't easily reach her there without exposing himself." As they drove away from the house, Lily watched her childhood home recede in the side mirror, military vehicles still surrounding it like predators. Rex sat beside her, his warm presence a comfort in the chaos. Beneath her fingers, the slight bulge in his collar reminded her that all was not lost. The evidence was secure. Her father's voice would still be heard. Colonel Peterson's quarters on the west side of Fort Courage provided temporary sanctuary, though Lily couldn't shake the feeling that it was merely the eye of the hurricane. Rex hadn't left her side since their narrow escape, his vigilant presence a silent reminder of their mission. The shepherd had refused food, maintaining an alert posture that suggested his training had activated some deeper protocol he was on duty, not just being a pet. "Harrison will know you're with me by now," Peterson explained as he prepared a simple breakfast of toast and eggs. The colonel moved with military efficiency even in domestic tasks. "We have perhaps a few hours before he makes his next move." "What about Captain Mitchell?" Lily asked, unable to forget the image of the captain being led away in handcuffs. "She's being held at the Fort Courage Detention Center. Harrison will want to interrogate her personally, but regulations require a waiting period and proper documentation." Peterson set a plate before Lily. "Eat. You'll need your strength." Lily managed a few bites despite her churning stomach. "What do we do now?" "We examine what you and Sarah recovered." Peterson's eyes moved to Rex. "I understand there's something special about his collar." Under Lily's direction, Peterson carefully extracted the hidden items from Rex's collar. The German shepherd remained perfectly still during the process, as if understanding the importance of his cargo. "Your father was always meticulous," Peterson murmured, as he connected the flash drive to his secure laptop. "Let's see what Thomas left for us." The drive contained a folder of files similar to those on the USB they'd found earlier: financial records, shipping manifests, security clearance authorizations, all bearing Harrison's signature or authorization codes. But this drive contained something: additional photographs, dozens of them, showing Harrison meeting with men Peterson identified as known arms dealers and foreign operatives. "This is damning," Peterson said quietly, "but the voice recorder may be even more important. Audio evidence is compelling in military tribunals." The recorder contained 3 separate audio files. The first was Thomas Anderson's voice, a detailed account of his investigation into Harrison's activities, recorded the day before his final mission. Lily's eyes filled with tears at the sound of her father's steady, determined voice. "I've documented Harrison's movements for the past 4 months. The pattern is unmistakable. He's been diverting weapons and selling intelligence to the highest bidder. I've attempted to report through proper channels, but someone higher up is protecting him. This will be my final recording before Operation Desert Falcon. If you're hearing this, I likely didn't return. To whoever finds this, protect my family. Harrison is dangerous and will eliminate anyone who threatens his operation." The second recording was more explosive: Harrison himself, speaking with another officer about the Anderson problem and how to make it go away permanently. The conversation had clearly been recorded surreptitiously, with Harrison unaware he was being documented. "We'll assign him to point position on the Desert Falcon extraction. Resistance will be heaviest there. Nature should take its course. But if it doesn't, make sure Anderson doesn't return. Make it look clean enemy fire. Nothing suspicious. The last thing we need is a martyred whistleblower." Peterson's face hardened as he listened. "The other voice is Colonel Frank Westfield, General Westfield's son. He must be part of this too." The third recording was brief but devastating. Harrison conversing with a foreign contact. negotiating payment terms for classified operational details. The transaction was explicit, the treason undeniable. "This is everything we need," Peterson said, his voice tight with controlled anger. Harrison didn't just frame Thomas. He ordered his death. Lily sat very still, absorbing the terrible confirmation of what she had already suspected. Her father had been murdered for his integrity, for refusing to look the other way while Harrison betrayed their country. "What about the letter?" she finally asked, her voice small. Peterson gently unfolded the paper, recognizing its personal nature. "This is for you, Lily. Would you like me to give you privacy?" She shook her head. "Please read it." Peterson cleared his throat and began, "My dearest Lily Pad, if you're reading this, then things have happened as I feared they might. I'm so sorry for leaving you, sweetheart. A father should never have to write this kind of letter to his 8-year-old daughter. I discovered something terrible, people I trusted doing things that hurt our country and put good soldiers in danger. I tried to stop it the right way, through the proper channels, but it didn't work. Now I have to go on a mission that feels wrong in every way. But if I refuse, I'll never be able to prove what's happening. Rex knows all my secrets. I've trained him to help you if something happens to me. Trust him. Lilypad, he'll protect you until you find someone worthy of your trust. Remember what I always told you. Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always right. Sometimes it takes great courage to stand up for the truth. You have that courage inside you, you always have. I love you more than anything in this world. When you look at the stars at night, know that I'm watching over you, proud of the brave, wonderful person you are becoming. All my love, forever and always. Daddy. Tears streamed down Lily's face as Peterson finished reading. Rex moved closer, resting his head on her lap in a gesture of comfort. She buried her fingers in his fur, drawing strength from his steady presence. "Your father was a hero," Peterson said softly, his own eyes suspiciously bright. "A true hero." A sharp knock at the door shattered the moment. Peterson immediately secured the evidence in his safe before answering. Colonel Harrison stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 military police officers. His uniform was immaculate, his posture commanding, but something in his eyes betrayed tension. "Anthony," he greeted Peterson with forced casualness, "I understand you've taken custody of Thomas Anderson's daughter." "As was proper under the circumstances," Peterson replied evenly. "The child was frightened and needed a familiar presence." Harrison's gaze moved past Peterson to where Lily sat with Rex. The German shepherd immediately positioned himself between Lily and the door, a low growl building in his chest. "That dog should be remanded to Military Working Dog Command," Harrison stated flatly. "He's government property, not a pet." "Actually," Peterson countered, producing a folder from his desk, "I have Thomas Anderson's official request for Rex's retirement and transfer to his family in the event of his death. Approved at the highest levels. The dog stays with Lily." Harrison's jaw tightened. "Nevertheless, I need to speak with the child. Alone. That won't be happening. James, Lily is a minor and a material witness. Any questioning requires appropriate child advocacy representation and JAG oversight." "This is a matter of national security," Harrison insisted, his veneer of pleasantness slipping. "Captain Mitchell has made serious allegations that need to be addressed immediately." Then I suggest you follow proper protocols, Peterson replied, unmoved. Submit your request through JAG, and we'll arrange an appropriate interview. Harrison stepped closer, lowering his voice. Don't be naive. Anthony, you're involving yourself in something you don't understand. For your own sake, for your career, step aside. Is that a threat, Colonel? A friendly warning from one old soldier to another. Their standoff was interrupted by the ringing of Peterson's secure line. He answered without taking his eyes off Harrison. Colonel Peterson. Yes, sir. Understood. We'll be there immediately. He replaced the receiver, a hint of satisfaction crossing his weathered features. That was General Marshall. We're both requested at headquarters immediately. It seems Lieutenant Cooper has made some rather interesting statements to the Inspector General's office. Harrison's face paled slightly. Cooper is under arrest for espionage. His statements are worthless. That will be for the Inspector General to decide. Peterson turned to Lily. Get your coat, young lady. We've been summoned to headquarters. As they prepared to leave, Harrison blocked the doorway one final time. This isn't over. Anthony, you're betting on the wrong side. No, James, Peterson replied quietly. For the first time in this entire affair, I believe we're finally on the right side, with Rex walking protectively beside her. Lily followed the two colonels into the bright Virginia sunshine, toward a reckoning that had been 2 years in the making. Dear friends, imagine being 8-year-old Lily Anderson, watching as your hero, your father, is declared a traitor after giving his life for his country. When the world turns its back on your family, when the